So hello, today I'm going to tell you about how great FabLabs and Makerspaces are for artists. So I'm an artist, and if you're an artist or a creative person as well, you should check this video out. So FabLabs and Makerspaces, as I say, are really great for doing stuff. Not just the tools that are expensive at the moment for normal users, but also other stuff as well. So I'm going to talk about that later on. So let's look at the first slide. So if you don't know what this is, most of you will probably know what it is when I say what it is, and it's a 3D printer. Yeah. So this is a usual 3D printer, excuse me, we get in FabLabs and Makerspaces. So it's an additive printer. It prints layer by layer. So it does one layer, and then another layer, and another layer, and another layer. And it takes quite a while to print stuff these days as well. So it can take an hour. I've even seen stuff taking 16 hours. And 3D printers are great for artists and creative people because you can get stuff from 3D graphics. So you can have a 3D model like one of these. So this is for my new art project. These are kind of funky little things that I've designed, the spaceman and a robot, and they're going to be quite small, and they're going to be kind of round around the sculpture thing installation that I'm making. So you can get 3D models, you can make it in things like 3D Studio Max like here, you can also make it in things like the free program Blender. Okay, and you can also get models from real life, edit them in 3D, and then 3D print them when they're edited. So let's go to the next one. So quickly, this is the 3D robot printed out. It's a rough print, there's the robot again. It's a rough print just to test the integrity of when it builds. Sometimes the 3D print messes up. So basically, once it's done like that, then I'll do a better version. It'll take a longer time, and it'll be less messed up. So these, and you can almost see the layers here, yeah? So 3D prints often have these layers, and we can get rid of those by processes afterwards as well. So the next one is the laser cutter. So people often really like the 3D printer. They're drawn to that to start with, but in some ways the laser cutter is good, if not more of a versatile tool. So here's the laser. So that actually cuts into materials such as wood and perspex very, very quickly. So this is part of a project I did for the Fab Lab, the London Fab Lab, and this is North America. So that you've got Alaska, Quebec, Florida, New York, California, and there's the laser cutting it. And you can see the cut there, and basically it cuts very, very quickly. So you can, as an artist, get 2D shapes cut within seconds or minutes. And a really good thing you can do as an artist is I've seen some really cool woodblock cuts, some really, really interesting geometry cut out like this, and you know, that would take ages with a normal knife, but with the laser cutter it does in no time, and then you've got your woodblock print to print out. Okay. And here's the FabLab London installation I made in the foyer. It's not quite finished here in this photograph, but it's gonna, you know, cutting these wooden panels out of each continent would be completely a nightmare. Just using a knife, yeah, and it would be probably impossible. So there you go. So that's what a laser cutter can do for you. And also I can mention that laser cutter can actually make 3D models. So you can use something called 123D Make by Autodesk. You should check it out. And basically, if you've got a 3D model, like this, for example, it will slice it up like in the 3D printer, and then you can print out each layer, which is cool. And then you obviously in real life, so if it's cardboard, you'll stick the layers on top of each other. The layers are numbered, and you can glue it, and you can use smooth on to get it like that. And the advantage of using that is if it's a very, very big model, it's going to be crazy to print out something that's, you know, really, really big. But using the laser cutter method, you can get some really, really cool stuff. So if you're an artist, or if you're doing something for a trade fair or a giant fish sculpture thing, you can do it like that. So that's another really, really cool use for the laser cutter. As I said, it's very, very, very versatile. And here's an Arduino. So this is the next thing, electronic prototyping. So we have things like Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, Makey Makeys, And with the use of electronics and breadboard setups, we can make things interactive. So we can program, for example, the Arduino very, very simply. The Arduino is is a processor that brings together loads of stuff. If we didn't have these, we'd have to make these bit by bit, and it would be very, very difficult. So for the layperson, as it were, that wants to learn, then the Arduino is just integrated all in one. We can just get out of the box and learn. I'm not really a fan of electronic prototyping myself. I like the results, not the doing it. I've got a lot of other things to do. So this is another aspect of the Fab Lab or the Makerspace, is that you can ask people within these places to help you. So, for example, I don't really do Arduino so much, so I often ask people, I say, hey, I want to do something interactive, then is anyone interested? And just coming back to this, I think this is a light sensor, so if you put your hand over it, the light gets lighter and dimmer. So in other words, you can make your artwork interactive, you can make your sculptures interactive, you can have lights, you can make movements, you can also have your 2D stuff interactive. You can have sounds activated when you go near it, for example. So the next one is the 3D scanner. So this is a gnome, and it's really good because you can make something in clay or a real-life model, and then it will digitize it, and then it'll get into a 3D program like this. The 3D model will usually be kind of messy. It won't be all lined up like this, and that's the case. Sometimes you actually have to make a new model over the existing model, so you still need some 3D skills as well. And the good thing about this for artists is that you can scale up. So if you wanted this gnome as a massive, huge thing like in the first Batman films, you can scale it really, really, really big, and then you'd probably use the laser cutter to do the contours. You could make it in cardboard, and then you could smooth it over. So in the past, scaling up things for sculpture was very tricky and laborious. So, scale things uniformly, but now you can digitize it and then get it bigger, and it's accurate as well. So that's a great use for a 3D scanner, and there's loads of other uses as well that you can look into. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So the next one is a CNC milling machine. So this is the same in the way as a 3D printer. You get your 3D meshes, your 3D models, and then it will make the model in real life. But this is kind of better for negative things, like if you're making molds and really sculptural reliefs and things, yeah, because it will reduce it. So think of Leonardo da Vinci with a piece of rock, hammering away and reducing it. So the 3D printer will add the plastic to make the model. This reduces it. Yeah. So it's similar but different. So it's another really, really, really cool tool that will speed things up for you as well as an artist. And just to say, all these tools are great. They don't take away your creativity. They expand your creativity, in my view, because they speed things up. And that brings me to 3D graphics. Probably if you're using FabLabs and Makerspaces, you should look a bit into 3D graphics. This is 3D Studio Max, quite a complex program, but you can learn it quite quickly. Blender as well. And 3D Studio Max is quite a lot of money. Blender is free. I teach both, by the way, so if you want, get in touch if you want some lessons. There's some other cool 3D programs out there as well. There's Tinkercad, which is very, very basic, and I'd recommend using that if you're just getting into 3D. If you want more CAD stuff, a really good program that I'd recommend is Autodesk 360, because it's free, it's cloud-based, and that's kind of when you're doing really accurate measurements. So this sort of program like 3D Studio Max is more sort of artistic, and the 360 is more like the old CAD programs like AutoCAD, to get accurate measurements if you're making a product or you want something very accurate for your art. So 3D graphics, go there as well. And the next slide is, I'm going to talk about some other things that are not just the tools. So probably the most important things about FabLabs and Makerspaces is the sort of open source community spirit. And one of these things that people are into in FabLabs, especially the FabLab I spent some time at, which is the FabLab London, is the circular economy. So these chairs and tables, some of these, or all of these, I'm not sure, are taken from other offices. So some other businesses had liquidated, or they wanted to get rid of some of these old pieces of furniture, and they're perfectly fine. And then the FabLab London took them, and they're perfectly reusable. Again, so and also the tools in the Fab Lab and the things you can make in the Fab Lab enable you to recondition some things that are broken on them as well, such as components. So that's a really important part, the circular economy. As well, the 3D printer, you can with the 3D printer, you can actually, there's a lot of scrap made when you're making 3D prints. Things fail, mess up, so you have this box at the bottom with loads and loads of 3D print plastic in it, and you can also recycle that. So it's very important when you're making real things to think about the ecology, the environment, and how we can affect it and how we can recycle things. Yeah. So we're not just making 3D graphics and stuff on the screen anymore. We have to think about wastage as well. Okay, so that's the circular economy, and here's the logo of the Fab Labs, the worldwide Fab Lab movement. And what I want to talk about is make, learn, and share. So this is another really important aspect. So make, learn, and share. So when I was talking about the Arduino, it's not exclusive. So I don't go into these places and say, hey, I want to, is someone there to help me with the Arduino or want to do the Arduino? And people are not going to say, no, go away. They'll say, hey, yeah, or I don't have time, but I know someone else that will help you. So it's very, very, it's very a community spirit, really good spirit of make, learn, and share. So if you make something, you can make, obviously you make something, you can learn things from other people, and obviously the very important thing is to share. So if you've got a skill or something that you're good at and other people are not, then the concept is to share as well. Okay, so finally, this is not to exclude the makerspaces. This is invent to learn more, please visit all these different things here, and I think this is in California, somewhere nice and warm. And another thing you could check out is Make Magazine, or Magazine.com, because it's got some really good ideas as well, and it will fire your imaginations as an artist. So thanks very much for the screencast today. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my website, jamesabelart.com. I also offer a free Skype trial tutorial about this subject or any other subjects you want to learn. I can get you started in 3D, and then if you like that, no pressure. If you don't like it, it's fine. If you like it, you can pay for some more lessons if you want. So thanks very much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye for now.